One of the most crippling triggers that a business owner can face is financial triggers. They can halt your progress. They can halt your creativity. They can even halt how you see yourself. So, in this episode, we are going to examine several different financial triggers and how you can address them and how you can ensure that you recognize when they come up and how you can handle them when they become present. So, come and listen.
Welcome to the Behind Her Brand podcast with your host, Kimberly Spencer. Every week, join Kimberly and her guest for inspiring interviews with passionate business builders, corporate leaders, and catalysts of change. Plus, we will be sharing business and career building strategies and tools that you can use to grow. So let's dive into today's episode.
So, as I shared with you guys, we are going to dive in today about financial triggers. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this is because it is truly one of the triggers that stops somebody from really moving forward in the ways that they can. And in my time as a branding and marketing strategist and working with different people that I have, it is really sad to me when I see someone with so much potential and so much room to grow literally halt their own progress, their own growth because of triggers as it relates to around financial. And here's the thing, a lot of financial triggers are typically rooted in sometimes our childhood and what we saw, how our parents dealt with money, how our friends handle money. It could have been built when we went away for college, or maybe you went to trade school or went right into your career. And maybe you weren't really around a lot of people that had strong financial principles or had a really strong mindset around financial principles. And what happens is when you're building your business or even building your career, you'll start seeing how those different things pop up. So what I want to do is walk you through some common things that people say and see if any of these have ever fit you. And these are what I will call financial triggers. So have you ever said, man, I never make enough money? I never make enough money. Or I am always broke. Like I don't ever have money in the bank. I can never afford what I want. Maybe you've said, I have never been good at handling money. Here's a few more. I'm not good at budgeting my money. No one ever pays me on time. If I raise my prices, I will lose my clients. I don't like talking about money. What if clients stop buying from me? I don't have time to create more products. I don't have enough money to invest in my business, so I can't start. These are all very strong examples of financial triggers. Okay, so let's break down a couple of these things, and I want to talk a little bit about how to overcome them and eliminate them. So let's take the first group that I mentioned. I never make enough money. I'm always broke. I can never afford what I want. If you're honest with yourself, there may have been a period of time that maybe you've said this statement, or maybe you're around people that are always saying, I never make enough. Whenever you verbalize something, a lot of times it becomes the very thing that you walk in. If I say every single day that I never have enough money for anything, it's interesting how that shows up in my day-to-day life, that I never seem to have enough money to make anything. Whenever you see or speak that you never have enough of something, especially when it comes to money, is directly connected to how you see your value and your worth. And let me share why I say that. Because I believe very strongly that each of us have gifts and talents that literally will make room in our lives. You may have a full-time job, I get it, but you may have other gifts and talents that you can use on the side that can help generate extra income to where the statement, I never make enough money, doesn't come out of your mouth. Or saying that I'm always broke. Because those things are mindsets. Those things are usually attributed to maybe what you've seen or what you've experienced throughout your life. And when you become a business owner, or even when you're developing your career and you want to grow and scale, when you literally root yourself in the mindset of I never make enough, I can never afford what I want, I've never been good at handling money, you're speaking those things on yourself. Okay? Another thing, if I raise my prices, I will lose my clients. That is a fear. That's a fear trigger, which we can get into later, but it's also tied to financial, because what that does again is tied back to the worth. Because if you know that, man, I'm growing, my skill sets are stronger, whether you're in business or your career, and you know that you're worth more, but you're afraid to ask for more, whether it's in clients or whether it's a promotion at your job, if you're like, you know what? I don't want to ask because they may say no. I don't want to raise my prices because my clients may leave. it all comes back down again to how you see worth and money. Okay. Another big one too is I don't have enough money to invest in my business, or I don't have enough money to invest in my career development. So I just don't start. I hear that one so much that it breaks my heart, because I know that that doesn't have to be your reality. It doesn't have to be something that you choose. And so often, whenever I hear someone, if I'm working with someone and they're showing some of these statements in their verbiage with me, I always ask them to pause, and we do an exercise. And this is what I'm going to challenge you to do as well. And if you've been around me at any of my events, you know this is an exercise that I believe in, and not just for one thing. You can do this exercise for a number of different things. First and foremost, be honest with yourself. Do you have any of these limited beliefs saying that I have never been good at handling money? I'm not good at budgeting my money. I can never afford what I want. If you check yes, that sometimes, yeah, I feel that way, then one of the first things I would challenge you to do is you need to find a good resource on how you can flip this to where you can start saying, you know what, I can afford whatever I want. So in order to do that, let me look at the different skills that I need to build so that I can be in a place where I can afford whatever I want. Okay. Another thing is, if you say you've never been good at handling money, or you're not good at budgeting your money, if you're going to be great in your career and great as a business owner, you need to be good with your finances. So if this is not your strong area, it doesn't mean that that's your lock. Okay. That one thing that you can never seem to get past. No, flip it. Become great at budgeting. Become great at handling money. Learn. Take classes, reach out to a good resource that can train you on doing that. Here's my thing, side note. If you're not strong in this area and you're like, you know what, Kim, I'm just not great with money. Well, you know what? Learn what you need to learn, and then outsource to someone. But always understand what you're outsourcing, because you always want to be able to make sure that you understand the numbers, understand the spreadsheets, understand where your money's going, what's coming in. You need to understand that regardless if you're a business owner or if you're a career professional, you need to know that. Okay. So let me go back. What I want to challenge you to do is sit down and literally get a blank piece of paper, poster board, sticky notes, whatever works for you, and write down everything that you bring to the table in your business or in your career, and really look at your worth. Okay. And don't be afraid to write down everything that you're great at, everything that you're good in. Okay. That's the first thing. And I'm going to tell you why that's important is that you got to be able to really know and remember and articulate your value. Okay. Because here's the thing, when you really know it, you step into it differently, not from an ego standpoint, not from a price standpoint, but from a confidence standpoint to say, you know what, I'm working on myself every single year. So I know that I'm worth this, because when you know your worth, you're not going to be in a place of saying, I never make enough money. Okay. So that's the first thing. If you're in a place right now where you're saying, Kim, I really don't have a lot of money. Okay, fine. Understand, can relate to that. I've been there before in my life. Okay. And what I did is I paused. And after I really look at my value, I started looking at all the different gifts and talents that reside in me. And I just made a list. I didn't second guess it. I didn't edit it. I just made a list and let it pour out. And then I looked at that list and I said, okay, what can I use right now to help generate extra income? It may not be the thing that I'm most passionate about, but it may be something that I'm good at for right now that can help me get to a place where I can be at a place where the words will never come out of my mouth that I never can afford something. Okay. I made a promise to myself that I am going to have a life of options. I'm not going to let money choose what side of the menu I order from. Okay. I'm not going to let money choose where I live or what kind of car I drive. I'm a very sensible person. My husband would tell you I'm probably frugal, but you know what? When I first started my business, I had to be scrappy and I did not have a lot of money. And I was around a lot of people that spoke this all the time. Like, man, I'm always broke. I ain't got no money. And I found myself repeating that. And I was like, you know what? I don't want that for my life. So the things that I'm sharing with you are the things that I actually did. I paused and I looked at my value. I looked at what my gifts and talents were, and I started working them. And then I started building up my income. I started getting a sharper knowledge of financial principles so that I can be very strong in what it is I'm building. And that way, whenever a time comes up where maybe, and we all have it, life hits, like I had a medical situation that hit, I had a good, healthy savings. Okay. I was able to say, you know what? Because I was dealing with a medical situation, And I saw my savings kind of going lower and lower and lower, paying out hospital bills because I did not want any bill coming out of this situation. What I had to do was say, okay, let me go back to my gifts and talents. What can I do in this moment to make some extra money, even in the midst of what I'm going through? Because I refused, and I made a promise to myself to not get into a place where I start looking at, oh my goodness, I don't have enough money. Okay, so I'm going to challenge you to make a list of things that you may hear yourself saying. Or maybe there's different things that you're like, man, I didn't realize I say that. Like, especially the ones, if I raise my prices, I'll lose my clients. You know what? I have a side note, a little extra tidbit here. Your clients are not going to leave because you raise your prices. Clients typically leave when the value of working with you is no longer there. Okay, that's just black and white. If you raise your prices, you're also raising the value because your education is different. Your approach may be different. The experience you may give them may be different. So when you raise your prices, you're raising the value, or you should be. Okay. But what I want to challenge you is to do those two exercises. Look at your worth, look at your gifts and talents, make a list. And then from there, you may say, Kim, what do I do after that point? Come up with only 2 things of your next plan of action. If that's, okay, I need to learn more about financial principles, then look at what that plan of action needs to be. If you need to raise your rates, look at what that needs to be and what that process needs to take place. If you need to really sit down and say, you know what, looking at my values, I need to evaluate my position at my job, or I need to evaluate what am I putting out there to my clients. Well, take some time and do that too, because oftentimes when we take the moment to really review our worth and really make that present in even our own mindset, it literally, it's kind of like Pac-Man whenever you're playing that game and it's like it starts eating away, right? It's the same thing. When you start seeing it, it's like you're Pac-Man and you're eating away at all the different things that are meant to try to destroy you, meant to try to attack you, meant to try to take over you. Okay? You are literally walking that thing out. So I'm going to challenge you to do those 2 things. Those things are very valuable things to do. I would also encourage you, if you have a team, your spouse, friends, or whomever that are really great accountability groups around you, sit down and do all this together. Do it first. I'm sorry. Let me share that. Do it first, and then consider sharing it with someone so that you're walking this thing out together. Because there's something very powerful whenever you're able to walk out this type of thing. Because financial things, whenever you can conquer your triggers, whenever they become present again or they pop up, and you're able to grab that trigger and say, nope, not today. I am not about to speak that. I am not about to believe that. I am not about to put that out there. I do have enough money. I will have enough money. I can raise my rates. I am going to walk in here and ask for promotion because you know what? Here are the different things that I brought to the table. When you get to that place, it literally shifts what you're building forward. It can create legacy for you and your family. It can create legacy just for you. You know, you can start creating different things that you wanted to build out. So I'm going to leave you with that. I'm also going to encourage you, because I would love to hear. Comment on the podcast. Comment below. Let me know what you're working on. Let me know what questions you may have in this area, because this is one area that I cannot begin to stress with you that many people get hung up on. And I don't want to see that for you. I don't. Okay. So I'm going to challenge you to do those 2 things. Comment below. We would love to hear from you. And let's make a choice. Let's make a promise to ourselves that these triggers are no longer going to come out of our mouths. These triggers are not going to be things that we're going to live out. These are not going to be our reality today. All right. Thank you guys for joining us for our Behind Her Brand podcast. You can find us on our website at www.behindherbrand.net.